The moment his heart monitor began to beep steadily in the silent hospital room, the millionaire realized that pretending to be lifeless was far easier than facing the truth he had spent years running from. Lying motionless beneath crisp white sheets, surrounded by the sterile scent of antiseptic and the quiet hum of machines, he chose to fake a coma not to test his employees' loyalty, but to escape the noise of a life built on power, pressure, and control. What he never expected was that in stillness, stripped of his wealth, title, and authority, he would finally hear something real enough to shatter him completely. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us what truly matters, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them most. He had built his empire from nothing, climbing rung by rung with sleepless nights, ruthless decisions, and a reputation that inspired fear more than respect. Employees saw him as untouchable, distant, a man who valued numbers over names. Success had rewarded him with luxury, but it had quietly stolen warmth from his life. When exhaustion finally caught up with him and he collapsed in his office, the headlines spoke of stress and overwork. The doctors said rest was mandatory. The world assumed he was unconscious. He let them believe it, because silence felt safer than accountability. Days passed in that hospital room where time moved slowly, measured by footsteps in the hallway and the soft rustle of curtains. Many came and went, lawyers, executives, distant relatives, speaking about him as if he were already gone. Their words hovered above him like cold air, filled with calculations, inheritance, and corporate futures. None of it surprised him. None of it touched him. He felt invisible, and for the first time in his life, that invisibility felt deserved. Then one afternoon, an employee entered the room quietly. She was someone he barely remembered, a low-level staff member from the cleaning department, a woman who had worked nights for years, unnoticed and underappreciated. She stood near the bed, clutching a folded tissue in her hand, unsure if she was even allowed to be there. The millionaire expected nothing from her presence, assuming she would say a brief prayer or leave flowers like the others. Instead, she stayed. She spoke softly, believing she was alone with a man who could not hear her. Her voice trembled with emotion as she described how working in his company had changed her life, not because of generosity or praise, but because it forced her to endure. She spoke of long hours, aching hands, and the fear of losing her job every time she slowed down. Yet beneath the hardship, something unexpected surfaced. She admitted that despite everything, she never hated him. She believed that people who build walls that high are often protecting deep wounds. As she stood there, tears slipping down her face, she shared how his company's paycheck had kept her children fed during the hardest years of her life. She talked about her son's illness, the nights she prayed for strength, and how she cleaned offices after everyone left, whispering hopes into empty rooms. She said she wished he could see the people behind the uniforms, because she believed that if he truly looked, he would care. Her words were not angry. They were honest, raw, and filled with a quiet dignity that pierced the silence. The millionaire lay frozen, his chest tight, his mind racing. Every instinct told him to open his eyes, to sit up, to acknowledge her pain and gratitude. But he remained still, overwhelmed by a truth he could not escape. For the first time, someone spoke to him without fear, without expectation, without trying to gain anything. In that moment, he realized that his greatest failure was not being harsh. It was being unseen and unseeing at the same time. When she finally left the room, wiping her tears and whispering a hope that he would wake up kinder than before, the air felt heavier. The machines continued their steady rhythm, but inside him, something had shifted. Memories flooded back, faces he ignored, sacrifices he dismissed, humanity he traded for ambition. The coma he faked had exposed a life he could no longer justify. In the days that followed, he listened more carefully. Nurses spoke about burnout. Junior employees expressed fear about layoffs. Even the silence taught him something about absence and neglect. He began to understand that leadership without compassion leaves scars that money cannot heal. The world had slowed down enough for him to finally catch up with his conscience. When he eventually opened his eyes and revealed the truth, the story shocked everyone. But what happened afterward mattered far more. He requested changes, real ones. Wages were reviewed, work conditions improved, and policies rewritten with humanity at the center. He asked to meet employees not as numbers but as people. And when he met that woman again, he did not thank her with grand gestures or publicity. He honored her by listening, by changing, and by becoming someone worthy of the loyalty he never earned before. As the hospital room emptied and life resumed its pace, the millionaire understood that the most powerful moments are often whispered, not announced. It was not illness that transformed him, but truth spoken in vulnerability. A single voice, brave enough to be honest in the presence of silence, had done what wealth, success, and fear never could. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the power of empathy and unseen kindness, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your interaction helps spread messages that can change lives in quiet but meaningful ways. Before you go, we have a special request for you. Comment below with the words "kindness matters" if you believe that even the smallest voice can create the biggest change. Because sometimes, it takes pretending to be asleep to finally wake up to what truly matters.